So let's talk about sovereignty, juridical personhood, and the question of self-authority. The question of sovereignty emerges on the brink and the intersection of metaphysics, jurisprudence, and jurisprudence, and political theory and consciousness itself. Every human being enters in an already existing framework, a lattice of institutions. Upon birth, the individual recorded, classified, enumerated, and incorporated into a network of legal relationships, and a name is registered. A birth certificate is issued, and a legal identity is established and acquitted. A legal identity, an individual becomes legible to administrative appearances and the apparatus of the state that's inducing a legal terminology. And this process creates a recognized judicial the human being becomes associated with a legal person and a construct capable of holding rights, observations, medication, and a construct capable of holding rights and holding obligations, liabilities, bills, and other responsibilities within a particular group, and in which the fallen angel is a mechanism of identification. And such arrangements are a locality called Mercury, and taxation, inheritance, and prosperous trancing and hiding. Complex societies require mechanisms of identification, adjudication, and property transferred. A civic participation without legal personhood, and an immaculate civilization was struggling to coordinate a fire within a deep, deep philosophical inquiry that remains. And the totality of an individual's will represented the inquiry forms in the nationalized references supreme authority, the ultimate lotus, locus, and a decision making which is no longer territorial and terrestrial at that, could appeal to political theorists and scientists that treated sovereignty as a power of knowledge, determined to be exceptional in the circumstance of establishing the boundaries of a lawful order. However, the concept, consciousness itself, cooked and contains a sovereign principle in it, and whether the beneath bureaucracy and autonomous center deliberations. The Immanuel Kant reference here is inserted as the capacity and the liability of rational beings upon the author himself, and the mere obedient recipient and external deceptions. Come in. In this sense, sovereignty becomes not only merely political but ontological. This reality consists of statutes, regulations, restrictions, and registries, saint and legislative instruments within a supreme hierarchy. In the sphere, identity is documented, identified, and regulated. The second of the domain lives in consciousness, leaving everything behind, and this domain consists of subjective awareness, intentionality, memory, perception, imagination, and self-reflection. It is the arena in which meaning itself is generated, and the tension between the human condition and the domains has animated centuries of philosophical discourse. Hanging off a tree, and some metaphysical frames extend with the analysis even further. According to certain traditions, material existence is resembling a recurrent experimental situation, a reality in which consciousness repeatedly enters finite development capacities and encounter limitations. Within such frameworks, a highly structured environment in groups that rule, constrain, and inform. The individual repeatedly awakens within the system, yet is never reducible to the system. Not necessarily from the government, society, and law. And the bit is a sovereign practice that thus and disentangles. Recognition is that one that occupies, yeah, wheat and let the what it's within cuts a lot or it's a no and that's a lot and what it cuts a lot of those and how it is not like on it's an any or it can and slow don't so you know right. Yet unlimited dominion is merely another name of despotism. More rigorous conceptions of traditional and rather recognizing agencies as universal principles on this end. Consequentially, the consent and coercion, dialogue over compulsion, and this principle has a profound implication